Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745 here with my continuing playthrough of Yes, You Got It Again, Hearts of Iron 3 with Black Ice .911. And the music's been very energetic since I restarted this. I don't know why. Particularly, game developers are big into that. My music is so great. It's gotta be hearing it. Now, if I kill the music entirely, I think this is a little too dead. So I'm always try to keep the music very sort of background. It sort of helps out a little bit. Maybe cuts down a little bit of my environmental noise. Mentioning noise, I hope the audio's doing well. I'm making these episodes maybe a day or two in advance. So if you gave me feedback, they quickly get shot up. I'm a little worried about when I listen to some of it, how much of my breathing you hear. Don't know if that's a bit too much or not. Like now, I'm getting ready to cough at breathing in. But okay. Now, I do look at the stats. The stats are important to me of what's going on in the channel. And there's a new beta version of the stats and stuff to look at for my end that I get to see, giving more information. And one thing is about 10% of you finish an episode. So, we'll watch all the way through to the end. And so maybe some people skipping through, not watching all of it, but because I can see if there's peaks or whatever and what's going on. And so that tells me a lot. So if I got 150 views, that means 15 people made it to the end. That's not a bad, I don't believe that's a bad stat for YouTube gaming. It's not a complaint. It's just an observation. So that's why I'm bringing this up at front. And this came up in a comment I got on, I guess by the time this is going to be released, the day before yesterday's, but something I just got. Comment by longtime viewer, good guy. And I said, I think in the video, something like, if Germany loses, I'm going to end this series or something like this. And what are you not going to play it to the end? Sort of mad and sort of upset. And I think he's at times have been frustrated with some of the ends to some of the series because, he's invested his time. Trust me, he's invested his time to watch the series. And I greatly appreciate that. I really do. That's why I thank you just for watching. I really like it if you hit the like button, and probably the 10 to 15 of you who get to the end are hitting the like button, because that's about how many people that are hitting the like button. And it's recently had a spat of a bunch of dislikes all in one day. So I don't know, probably one person. I don't get to see who's liking and who's disliking. I don't get to see that information. But just because it spiked up and it was over several different videos, so I'm guessing somebody found something and found the channel and didn't like things. But even that, getting 1 or 2 dislikes on a video and getting 15 likes, the dislikes still help me. So long as it's a great, truly, the dislikes help the video. If you dislike a video, it helps me. Now, if it was 4 dislikes to 1 like, that wouldn't help. But if the great majority, 60, 70 some percent are likes, actually having the additional dislikes actually helps visibility, because it shows engagement, as YouTube would say, is somebody cares enough to hit that dislike button. And so long as it isn't some sort of overwhelming, like, this is junk, it helps. Okay, so the main point as I'm getting to is Patreon. Okay, I made a comment in there. Then here's the main reason I haven't opened a Patreon account. I would love to make this my primary income. I'm making very little money off of it. I couldn't convince any one of you to work for the salary that I'm getting off of this. I'm sure I couldn't, for the number of hours I put into this. And it's not just playing the game, it's all the hours I put into this. You would never work for this. So yes, this is a labor of love, but I'm trying to make it my primary income. So I've thought about, most assuredly, for years now, thought about a Patreon account. Even a few people have suggested it. here's my problem, and I don't know how to solve this. I mean, obviously, I could just do something, but I don't know that it's right. My concern is that if I open up a Patreon account, I'm worried that a few people would either feel obliged, feel guilted into supporting me, and who really shouldn't be because they don't really have the money. Because I don't want to, you don't know how happy I am just to have you guys watch and hit that like button, and especially if you also go in and share it on other sort of social medias or something. You don't know how much I really do it, and thank you, because I do know I don't get to see who's sharing what, but I do get to say, oh, shares, okay, not me sharing it, because that doesn't count. Somebody's sharing it, so it really helps. That's my call to action to you guys is hit that like button, to share it, to subscribe. Beyond that, I don't expect anything from any of you. But this seems to be the YouTube economy, is Patreon. And some woman who does a sort of a technology channel, I really don't watch it too much, but a little bit. She's having to move her studio, and that's a big expense, and so people encourage her to do a GoFundMe page, and her goal was $10,000, and in a weekend it got $17,000. So she's rather pleased and shocked and surprised that she also does a Patreon thing that keeps her going, because she doesn't do any sort of YouTube monetization on her channel. Keeps her going. So that's part of the YouTube economy, and I realize that. But what I'm worried about, one is people that would feel guilted into giving me money. The other thing I sort of worry about is the Patreons themselves. A patron is both a good and a bad thing. I'm looking at this as in the way that this is used, in the way of the art world. It's sort of like, yeah, Leonardo da Vinci, he didn't have much money. He lived on Patreons. People that he didn't go out and paint a bunch of paintings and they go, hey, I'm Leonardo da Vinci. These are my paintings. They're going to be worth hundreds of millions of dollars to your ancestors one day. Who wants to buy them? Let's auction this one off. No. It was like, go up to some rich guy. Can I paint something that would please you, sir? Your wife, your horse, make you look magnificent to your ancestors. And so that's Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, and other sorts of people like this. They lived off of patrons. And that was the economy back then. They really didn't do, paint on speculation, like who died a pauper, Vincent van Gogh or something like that. That his stuff is now worth huge amounts of money. So I worry not, do get people, whether they are, the $1 a month or $5 a month, or somebody decides to hit you up big time with $10 or $20 a month or something like that. Yeah, I could try to do some sort of early release or private release kind of things for them first, and do that stuff, and I could do that. And so you get early access to things. And is that worthy to do it, or just sort of a scam? Wait 4 days and see it, or get it 4 days early. Well, if you're getting it, but once you get the first 4 days early, get ahead of everybody else, you're still just getting daily content, because I can't release it faster than I make it, Or do I make some sort of special content that's only for the patrons? As reasons to join it. Or is it just simply, hey, help me out? And if I do the, hey, just help me out, who do I start to listen to? Get the patrons to say, yeah, gamer, we want you to play Finland. You know who I'm talking about right now. who reminds me to play Finland. Yeah. Okay. I play Finland. And my views plummet. Now, but you say, but gamer, all the patrons want you to do Finland, and your patron income is 10 times the income of YouTube. So, yeah, but everybody on YouTube wants to see me play Germany, because this sort of comes as sort of, you know, the Japanese series. Maybe not quite half, but it feels like half of the views that I would normally get in, say, in the first 48 hours at about this time in Germany. I think I was running about 250, 270, and now we're around 140, 150 or so per episode in the first 48 hours. And that's when the videos get most of their views. Unless it's like the first video in the first 2 or 3 in the videos in the series will over time accrue lots into the thousands of views. 1 or 2 of my videos have gotten to like 20,000 views or something like that, but that's the first video in the series. So I can't ever, the first 5 videos in these series is just people's interested in what's new, and then it goes down to where it's sort of going to ride at for a while. And yes, and this will pick up, I do believe. You know, when we hit the Pacific War, people will be more interested and realize that that's going on. And this is, and I know I think I'm gonna play. I can always, you know, when I make the thumbnail, this may just be a talk episode, because this is on my mind, and this is about the channel, and this is about, for those of you who care, this is about what will be going on the channel for a while. And I'm, you know, stream of conscious thinking about it, because I don't know what to do, quite honestly. I don't know what to do. I mean, I know what the options are, basically, but I don't know what to do. Because what I want the most is not money right now. Not that I don't need it. I certainly need the money. What I want the most is growing the website. You know, that's what I want, or not the website, the channel. I want to grow the channel. That's the thing I want to do the most, is to grow the channel. So it means being popular. Now, I know if I just throw on another Minecraft channel out there, there's so many, the internet is glutted with them, and you know, you're not going to get anywhere chasing the most popular things out there. And I've already established a pretty good audience here, and at least those that I interact with you, whether it's on the comments below these videos or over on Twitch. I love you guys. You guys, the guys that I interact with on a regular basis, you're a great bunch of guys. And yes, when I just looked at my viewing stats, it said 100% male for the whole channel in the last 28 days, and 0.1% female. So it wasn't quite 100%, but basically you're all guys. And I didn't design it that way, and I think it's probably the Baldur's Gate thing that sort of keeps a little more women on sometimes. And I've made over 18 episodes for that series, so that'll be starting back up as an active thing very soon. I wanted a cushion on that. And so I want to grow like I said, growth, popularity. And yeah, and there's, you know, different suggestions. Some of them I haven't taken that might have been good. You know, one person early on says, I should edit things down. You know, take the hour show and edit it down to 20 minutes. So you show the highlights of whatever's going on. One, that'd take, especially in the old system, that'd take many hours of editing and having the system run. Now, wouldn't take as long, but it'd still take a lot of time. I would spend a lot more time editing than I would playing the videos. Now, of course, so it would, one, radically reduce the number of episodes put out. I might still be on the first German series. But just because, not because even though the episodes would be shorter, but just all the time in between the stuff. So I could do something like that, but if I started to do something like that, for how long do I edit things before we figure out whether it's working or not? 5 days? That isn't long enough. 3 months, and I've not grown the channel much. Then what? So that's why I haven't done some of the stuff. And right now I'm making this series and all the stuff without any edits, because it would just add a lot more to my time. I'm trying to put out content. And getting onto that is sort of like the Field of Glory 2, which I think is an excellent game. It's just getting fair reviews. Aggressors, Ancient Rome, I think it's just an okay game. Especially sort of waiting for the next, good, I hope, Paradox Ancient World game. Yeah, that's okay. I know Napoleon Total War is an old game, but it's a good game. And if you're just watching for the latest, and it's, who watches what games, it varies. Some of you only watch games that you actually want to either play or want to play. And so if you're not playing the game, you don't want to watch it. And that's fine. Watch what you want to watch on my channel or anywhere else. But this is important to this topic. Is like I say, Field of Glory 2. It's ancient world miniatures on the computer. I think that's a great, wonderful game. I just want to play that just because it's fun. Aggressors Rome, it's fun, but it's not really where I want a empire building classic era game. Napoleon Total War, that to me is a fun game. It's another history game, and I want to branch out into other periods of history than World War II. So that's a good game to do that. And I don't know if I were to say, and I have played a little bit, but not enough to really learn it, March of Eagles, the sort of the older Paradox game covering that same period. And I have the two icons right next to each other on my desktop thingy here. So do I play that? Would that get any better reviews? I don't think so. Take me more time to learn how to play it well. So it's more investment in time for no more views. Then I would probably end up talking, because of the type of the game, more about the history in that period. And so, so it comes down to, and like I got good reception when I talked about, just sort of broke in the middle of an episode that I was already thinking of doing before, as you could tell, the Napoleon Total War, about talking about the line and the square versus the column and cavalry. And I could really, and I've gotten encouragement, and I really sort of want to make a little more professional targeted video, but that takes a lot of work to do that, to get the graphics, whether I'm going to edit it or I'm going to do it sort of freeform, which is my initial plan, is freeform, but collect all the graphics that I want to use, have Napoleon Total War have the right sort of thing preloaded up, because I can just capture my desktop, but have that preloaded up so that I can change formations and talk about things, and try to make and have notes. I work, and several times I've done scripted things, including my sort of channel teaser at times in the past, and I sound really terrible and stilted, at least to myself, where if I just talk like I'm doing to you, I sound reasonably good. So I can work from notes, but I got to have a conversation with you, not read a script. I just sound really bad. So I do feel a need to continue to bring other games to you. It's partially, I feel, good for you, so that you see something, because those Fields of Glory 2, or I keep wanting to say Fields. Field of Glory 2 and Aggressors Ancient Rome were both given me as review copies by Slitherine, the nice people over there, to bring them to you. And I've had a longer relationship with them for a while now. They've gotten more into just anything new coming and offering it to me. And a couple of things I've very new. I ignored from them because, one, it was Battlestar Galactica, which might get me a lot of views, but it didn't seem to fit this channel as well. I didn't really have the time. And then there's another new NATO war real-time tank strategy sort of game, not a tank shooter, but a tank strategy game. I just didn't have the time to do it, to put it out there. And so I think these other games are growing my channel by getting a little more exposure out on Steam and other places, and people are finding it. But I'm also putting them out there for you, the regular viewer of it, so that you can see. But I don't think YouTube's showing you as many as I would want them to, and that's another thing to do, is to check out my channel page and not just like daily or every couple of days. Check out my channel page and not just the YouTube feed on what's the latest, because I've gotten various feedbacks at times that I put out some other new series and somebody didn't realize, they either didn't catch it, it may have been in their feed and just got overwhelmed by everything else, or YouTube didn't put it out. So you might be really into Hearts of Iron, anything Hearts of Iron 4, but you don't realize that I did a World War I mod version because it was enough different. YouTube didn't show it to you or something. So there's some of that going on. But so I'm trying to bring you other things that you might like to play. And even if you would hate to play them, I still want to bring them to you at least briefly so you would know you would hate to play them when you look at them. Go, God, this thing sucks. I don't want to get... Now, none of the recent stuff is that way. But I would still, something new, if some company gave me a review copy, and if I think it sucks, I'd tell you that, and I'd make 2 or 3 episodes and go, this sucks, and if you like it, buy it, but, I think it sucks, or even if I love it, if you like Field of Glory, because it's a turn-based game, based very much on tabletop miniatures, if you just want real-time, Rome 2 or something like that, real-time big battles, and you don't want to do the turn pace, I love it. You think it sucks, that's great, because now you don't want to buy it, so you don't spend your money on it. That is part of the service I want to bring to you with that. So I want to bring you things that are historical, often military, but historical type games, so that you can determine whether you want to play the game, whether you want to watch the series. And so that gets back to, I sometimes see things that I love, you guys don't want to watch, that's fine, don't watch it, because I'm trying to grow the channel. So I test things out, and if they flop, they flop, I go on to something else. So, how do I do, and sure I can, say some, should I do Patreon? And, some of you say, yeah, give it a shot, and you may even in that comment say, I don't have the money to support you, but you should give it a shot. Now that's very fair. Again, I'm not asking any of you for money. Definitely not now. But even if I do Patreon, that would be a choice. You can choose to support you. It's not, oh, woe is me, please give me money. It's if you choose to support. But even if you were to say, yeah, hey, gamer, I like your stuff, I would, because it could just be, $1 a month. It's not a big hit to many people. Some people it is, but to many people, it's not a big hit to them. And they would be happy to give me $1 a month. And then as part of that, they go say, hey, I want you to play Finland. And yes, I could, if everybody in Patreon, backers would want to see Finland, I could make a Finland series and still make everything else, especially if there was a lot of people wanting to see Finland. I'm just using that, and I hope the person is getting the joke. And it would be a fun country to play, but I look at Finland and go, and he reminds me about Weekly. Well, okay, start the game up, get the thing, whether it's in Hearts of Iron 4 or Hearts of Iron 3, get the thing going. And yeah, and especially in 4, it goes faster. So I can turn the game on full speed and just let the game run until we get to World War, 1941 or the Winter War or whatever. It has some interest, but it's, just, how far do you go and how much interest are you going to hold people? We're holding the line. 10 episodes of me holding this line. Let's say we get to here and here, get the whole, what is it, Kola Peninsula here, or what we can of it, because this eventually goes down to no infrastructure. But we get this and we're holding this line. We hold the line. We hold the line. 10 episodes in a row, not moving a single province forward or back. We're holding that line. And after another 10 episodes, 20 episodes, we've held that line. No one's been able to break our line, and we haven't been able to penetrate the Soviet line. How many people are going to keep watching that? I mean, that's when I hear Finland. It as a challenge. Well, can you take Leningrad? Okay, let's say I even take Leningrad, and I'm holding this line. Now maybe if I get in here and the Soviet AI, because whenever I play as Germany, I see the Soviets stacking huge amounts of armor divisions, and it's only sort of my intervention in some German troops up in here, which again, if we've been talking about our recent how bad the AI supports a human player country, I don't know if we would see we might see one scripted sort of give Finland some units kind of thing, but beyond that, I'm just sort of thinking I'm going to be sitting here holding the line somewhere, and I might make some event, but maybe the AI would screw up so bad that I drive to Moscow, and maybe Hearts of Iron 4, okay, maybe I would do that, and maybe that would be a quick game, and I get to Moscow, but in short, if somebody wants to pay me about $10 an hour, I'll play games. Put it up on the YouTube. It'd probably be, for every hour up on YouTube, it'd be 2 hours of work. Sure, yeah, I'd do that. And I'm thinking here, maybe there's 20 Patreon backers out there that pay couple that kind of $1 an hour and make that, but that's not enough to live on, obviously. 2 hours of work a day at $10 an hour. But at some point, I still need to make my regular series or whatnot, and that's what I'm sort of interested as. How do you tell the people that are supporting you financially, which is important, and especially if I start putting, more time into this, or just relying, because I'm putting a hell of a lot of time into this, if you don't realize, but because the one thing I've really failed on, quite honestly, as I'm sitting here thinking about this, is my modding. I have not been doing it, and this is between this channel and my other work, I have not done any modding, and so, which is really bad. And yeah, so yeah, I guess this is just going to be a talking episode, and I love your guys' feedback. I get very, very little negative feedback on this channel, which is in a way very nice, but I'd be happy to have some constructive negative feedback, and so this is going to have a thumbnail and a description so that people aren't thinking there's going to be gameplay or something like that, so they're not waiting before they even start, because I was planning on just talking about this for a couple minutes and then start playing when I started this. But I'm really thinking about, how to do this. Because I'm quite honestly, and there's been a couple of good growth spurts in viewership on this channel. And I've been really encouraged by this, but right now it's back to a slow grind. And it's probably a better slow grind than many other channels. It probably really is. And I know a few sort of, I don't know if quite friends, but friendly people that that are other YouTubers or Twitchers or whatever you group, that have given up or that have put in a massive amount of effort and that have not had my level of success even. So I feel very lucky. This isn't woe is me. I feel very lucky to to have gotten this level of success at this time. And so, I really do feel lucky about that. But I'm just thinking here. Sorry. Like I say, I feel very lucky to get this level of success. But I don't know, do I keep pushing for growth? Because that's what I want to do. Because if I get to a certain level of growth, then I can not rest, no, but sort of count on a decent level of core viewers to keep things going and keep trying to make interesting content. But then I could pull off on the hustle that I sort of do to try to work and get more stuff in and sort of streamline some of my workflow a little bit more, and then be able to mod as well, because I know that I actually think there's probably more people interested in my modding, but my modding doesn't pay any money either unless I work something out with Paradox, and they've been semi-receptive, but not yet was their most definitive reply, which is a good reply because it isn't a no. But yeah, so because I'm just thinking, so how do you get people that decide to, maybe financially support you, but then tell them no because, yeah, 5 of you guys really want me to play Romania, but nobody wants to watch that. Outside of 40 or 50 people a day. And half of them, or more than half of them, tune in for the first 2 minutes and then are gone. Because it obviously is sort of 100% at start. But the first minute to 3 minutes or something, it goes from 90% of viewers after about the first 3 minutes down to about 30% of the viewers, our numbers, viewing numbers. And then shortly after that, it drops to about 10% for most episodes. So people are gone. Or they're just sort of skipping through, sort of see what's happened, and so they're not, so that's sort of a wavy line, because partway into things, you won't spike up high, but will, spike up a little bit. So people are jumping around just to see what the progress is. And that's, you should watch YouTube the way you want to watch it. I am not trying to get you to watch it my way. And I'm happy for everyone who comes and takes something of interest out of the video, whatever it may be. I'm happy for that. So how do you get, if I get backer, Patreon, and it doesn't need to be a lot of people and doesn't need to be a lot of money. But that's sort of what I've sort of, like I say, I've sort of worried about. There may be 2 or 3 big people who want to be very generous, and then when they suggest something, how do I say no? Or that there would be a smattering, a reasonable amount of people that would want to contribute $1 a month, and that'd be cool and that'd be helpful. But then they all have expectations, and how do I say no? Because what do you mean, gamer? The game hasn't completely crashed. You can keep playing. I want to see how you defend Berlin as as the U.S. moves in on you. Or, like when I ended the Italian series, we were being pushed back out of Turkey. We had taken Turkey. The Soviets were, somewhere in here pushing us back, and we couldn't hold up here. Do I, and viewership was plummeting. Do I, do the Soviets take all of Turkey and take North Africa and get ready to invade Italy? Or do I, as some people suggested, well, hang out next, because I think part of it was we were entering winter. Well, you'll be able to hold in winter. Just hold the front in winter, and winter sort of got there, I think, if I remember correctly, and it didn't hold so well. But hold out for the winter, and then when spring comes, Germany will do another offensive, and then things will go better for you. And yeah. Now it's you and 12 other viewers and me still playing the series. Another year of the game. Not year in our lifetime, but another year in the game in. That's sort of, And I understand. Again, back to the viewer's disappointment. What do you mean? I've invested all this time, and you're not going to maybe finish? Do I even want to keep watching you daily if you're not going to finish the game? And I understand that. Trust me, I understand that. This is why I'm trying to spell out my expectations. Again, if you want to know, we're going to play Japan. We're going to play the Pacific War. And unless there's a bug that we can't get past. We're going to play the Pacific War. If America defeats my fleet, and I can't sneak around and, steal all their bases from them, if they're invading me like I've sort of seen the AI do, and if they sink my Pacific fleet, game over. Because if they sink my Pacific fleet, yes, I can build another one. But while I'm building another one, and again, probably not anybody watching me, they're going to be building more of a fleet, and even more of a fleet, and more aircraft. And so once my fleet is gone, and basically, unless somehow I can, do that old, hey, somehow invade from, I don't know, maybe I sneak my way into Alaska and then push down here on ground forces and somehow defeat American armored divisions with my Japanese. Unless something like that's likely to happen. Once my Pacific fleet is, my Japanese Imperial fleet, the carriers and the battleships, once they're gone, sort of series over. I mean, that's how I'm taking it. Again, I may experiment and try a couple other things shortly, but it's going to be series over. If I successfully defeat the American fleets, and I can take the, sort of west coast of America, okay. And unless Germany, by that time, whatever time that is, unless Germany's also landed in America, Germany could be doing well, or Germany could be dead. I don't know. But if they haven't landed in America, it's game over. Because if I got here, sort of the, man in the high castle part of America, if I got here, okay, I proved I've got here. Whether I can get to Washington or New York or not, to me that's immaterial. I've got here, game over. Sure, I may get India, but, and I may get Australia. But even if I have those and I lose my Pacific fleet, that tells me, and the U.S. has successfully invaded a few islands, that tells me the U.S. is just going to be able to plow in and take Tokyo. Why fight it out? Now, as I said to the viewer, if you've got me 1,000+ viewers per episode, I'll keep playing this out to the bitter end, because that'd be the best, most successful series I've had yet. So, or to taking Washington D.C. and taking London, I'll play it out to that, if which victory or loss, if there's a big enough viewing audience for it, because it would sort of be interesting to me to, well, by the time I've taken enough of America, but normally, like when I'm doing that with Germany, my viewership has plummeted by that time. By the time I'm starting to invade the Americas, north and south, viewership plummets on my German series. Defeat the Soviet Union, take most of Africa, take Britain. Once I get that done, viewership goes down. There's still a good core of you, great core that I love you, that keep watching. But all the rest of people, they go away. That's what I'm figuring is going to happen, once I get far enough here. But, if I got all the land mass, great. But if America's able to invade and punch around, and I can't invade, it's series over, so that's the expectation here. And that's sort of always been my expectation. Play this out to a logical conclusion. Fleet defeated, series over. Germany crushed. Italy and Germany crushed. Well, how long is Japan going to last? Fight it out to Tokyo, or, force surrender somehow otherwise? Again, hey, if there's a lot of people watching and they find it interesting, yeah, great. And so so back to the sort of Patreon topic. I don't know I guess I would need to know how to handle people, because yes, of course I can say no and they can stop supporting it, obviously, but I don't really want to base my channel on going to another rant like in the last video about DAI. Stop that. We're not trying to be angry gamer here. Okay. How do I don't want to base everything on disappointing people. I really don't want to do that. I really want to have a channel that I live up to my commitments. The only reason that last German episode or series ended was because I ran into a bug that I had no idea what the bug was. I got zero support from who I think the mod... I don't know for sure, because I don't know what the bug was. If I knew what the bug was, then I would know for sure what mod caused it. But I suspect it's GGA, and the author has been AWOL for a while and didn't respond to anything. So it got down to and I spent hours trying to figure out what it was. But it got down to I can't keep spending any more hours because I got to produce something for the channel. I got to produce something Hearts of Iron 3 for the channel. And if I spend another day or two, I have had zero, expectations of finding the bug. And if I found it, I wasn't sure that I could fix it, even if I identified it. Obviously, if it's sort of event and decision making, if I found the right event, maybe I could, delete basically all the event, and that might have, a lot of Croatian units. Okay, might have solved it, but maybe it was something already sort of baked into it. That's another possibility. That though maybe if I jump back a few episodes and played forward, maybe. But again, I don't know what the bug was. I got it down to a date, but and I made sure some conditions were different on that date. But I couldn't play past it. So obviously, I couldn't solve it within the time allotted, and I haven't gone back to try to fix it. So obviously, I'm at the whim of how well the game, the mods, whatever work. If I can't get past it, it dies. But I want to live up to my commitments. I don't want people to, whether they invest their time, their effort, because again, if you've liked this video, even though I've been a talking video, trust me, I won't make every episode this. Or if someone were to be a patron backer of some sort, big or small, I want to live up to my commitments. I want them to have to know what the expectation is. Do you have the expectation? Yeah, you get to be a patron. But I'm not going to pay any attention to you? That isn't going to fly. And sure, I can tell somebody who wants me to play Finland, one person, yeah, someday maybe. And it is a yeah, someday maybe. I have no idea when I'm getting to Finland. If you're still watching, I'm not going to out the person. But and he's not Finnish, so it isn't some nationalist thing. But yeah, I just quite honestly don't know how to make Finland interesting for people to want to watch it. If I knew how to make Finland interesting, I would absolutely play it. That's one of the reasons I sort of don't play the Soviet Union. Not that and it's not a no. It's sort of like, well, the next planned series for single player, because I'm still wanting to do the multiplayer thing. The next planned series for Hearts of Iron 3 is back to Germany. So my rhythm is sort of Germany, then another country, and then back to Germany, and then a different country. So before it was Germany, then Britain, then back to Germany, then to Japan. Now, don't know. Now it's back to Germany after this Japan series. But after that, I don't know. And yes, it's been, suggested as a short series, do Finland or Romania or whatever. And it, especially in Hearts of Iron 4, it can be a shorter series. And that's a more likely possibility in Hearts of Iron 4 for me to play Finland. But even there, I'm not sure how I'm going to make it interesting. So yeah, it's how to make Sweden interesting. Okay. Decide not to be neutral, because that's going to be boring. Okay, so you're not going to be neutral. What are you going to do? Try to unify the Scandinavia? I see Finland as a culturally different place. It's part of this sort of, I don't even know what you want, because that's a peninsula. I mean, with a mountain ridge down the side of it. Maybe that's the penis and those are the balls. I don't know. But this sort of, but now of course this is connected sort of, well, obviously this is also connected to the mainland of Europe, but this is connected more directly, but it's Scandinavian. So yeah, try to create a united Sweden or Denmark. Well, I guess that's Sweden or Finnmark or something like that. Okay, and then once I do that, then what? Join the Axis, join the Allies. That's maybe how to make Sweden interesting. But I don't even know if I can get my new without gaming the system and making a mod. I'm not even sure I can get my neutrality low enough to declare war on some of these countries before they join either the Axis or the Allies. So how to, or just, work to join the Axis. Okay, I joined the Axis. Oh, if I get early enough, I get to invade Norway. And then after that, if it's not that soon or after that, I get to maybe fight in Russia with everybody else. I don't know of a way to make it interesting. That's quite honestly why I'm reluctant to play some of these countries, is how do I make it interesting for people to watch? How to make Switzerland interesting. Switzerland is a boring country. It used to be, sort of before the Napoleonic Wars, a very, very interesting country. But since then, it has decided to be boring. And so, yeah, I can't imagine how to play Switzerland. Oh, well, try to work to join the Allies or join the Axis, and then what? If it's before France falls, well then, yeah, you get to be involved in invading France. Well, can't I just do that as Germany? Or, join the Allies. Yeah, well, then we can hold off Germany while we try to push into Italy or something. I don't know how to make it interesting, and that's quite honestly the case. Now, Spain, at least you have the Spanish Civil War, so that can be interesting. Turkey, yeah, you can try to join a faction, I guess. Axis or Allies. Or even Comintern, I guess, because you're sort of all three, Axis over here, Comintern over here, Allies here, wherever. Try to join, and that could be an interesting thing, if you're allowed to join, to get into a faction. But that could be an interesting thing. But how to make Bulgaria interesting? Sorry, I don't know. Romania, well, okay, try to do a southern front, moving into the Ukraine and whatnot, but that's still limited. Or in Hearts of Iron 4, well, try to conquer Yugoslavia and then, try to create, yeah, okay, do some wacky, super ahistorical, start early on and invade, justify a war and invade Hungary. Oh, yeah, yeah, okay. And yeah, just as a simple playing exercise, yeah, okay. But beyond that, where I really find real history interesting, I really do. I find it fascinating. Like when I started to do some research into Manchukuo, that was just fascinating. But I can't imagine how to make playing Manchukuo interesting. I just don't see an angle there. Australia, Yeah, I can see that. I can see that as being interesting. Try to build up, maybe not so much of a navy. You don't know how much of a navy you can build up with Australia, but try to build up just enough so that you can do some landings and try to hold on to and push on some of the Japanese islands. Try to fight out here. That could be interesting. That could be interesting. Especially if you can do sort of Hearts of Iron 4. Lend lease and get ships and transports and things like that to buck up Australia to fight. Yeah, that could be interesting. Fight the sort of, not the big navy, carriers versus carriers war, but be able to do invasions and counter invasions on these islands and keep enough enough fighters going around here so that having some fun. That could be interesting. Mexico? What? Invade Central America? I mean, at some point, yeah, we've invaded Central America. Oh, we're gonna... Latin America is gonna sit passively by because it has a really fucking stupid AI and allow me to one at a time declare war against all of these countries. So I go from country to country to conquer it. Okay. Really? Really? Because by the time I got to Nicaragua, if I was Mexico, or for sure by the time I get to Panama, the U.S., of course, would have already intervened. But if the U.S. somehow isn't intervening, all these other countries would have done an anti-Mexican alliance and would all go to war with me and would all, fight. And yes, can Mexico take South America? Challenge, yeah, but beyond that, how do you make Mexico interesting? And so, that's sort of my thoughts. Do I do Patreon? If I do it, how do I put this? How do I... Well, they got the nice now and 2 battleships that are probably built out of a regular production. How interesting. Okay, how do I not so much keep happy, but how do I, what's the right term for it? Meet expectations. That would be a good thing. Expectations of the Patreons. Big or small. How do you turn down somebody who wants to go, I'll give you $10 a month or $20 a month? Well, thank you. And if that's all it is, that's great. Meaning if they just want to donate to the channel and whatnot, and that's great. That's wonderful. Well, but could you play, a game of, play the Spanish Republic in the Spanish Civil War and see if you can win? Okay. That was good. Now can you, but is it getting any views? And if I'm not growing the channel and I'm just pleasing a small group of Patreons, in a while it's going to die anyways, because the Patreons will get bored and go away. And there'll be no new people coming to the channel. At least that's my expectations and from some reading and whatnot. So I can't do this narrowly just for a small group of people. Small group of people can support me, but I've got to try to keep the idea of growth out there, because somebody goes, hey, I really want to see a Portugal game. I'd pay $100 to see a Portugal game. Okay, well, now that they've seen the Portugal game, they're done. Now what? But if nobody watched me for 3 months because nobody cared about seeing me play Portugal and try to take out Spain or something, or declare war on South Africa and try to take South Africa, or whatever it is, because nobody was interested in enough, then where am I? So that's, I guess, some of my stuff. So sorry for this long rambling stream of consciousness. This is not a complaint. This is, like I say, I am so pleased that so many people are interested in watching me. And I understand why the numbers are down right now, because what a bunch of my people, or the viewers here, want to see it's sort of Germany and that kind of stuff, and this is even sort of a boring time with Japan. So yeah, I totally get the idea of why viewership is going down a bit, and I knew that before I even started the Japanese series on Hearts of Iron 4. I knew it was going to go down, but I also knew that if I just simply played Germany again, it would also go down. So but subscriptions are slowly going up. It's a slow grind and it's going up, and I'm very pleased by that because people are still finding the channel. Like I say, I get very, very, very few negative feedbacks. And if you want to tell me why I suck because I make long rambling videos with no point to them, that's a very valid criticism, and I normally don't do this, obviously, as you know this. But whatever the valid criticism that why I suck, I want to hear, because if you think I suck, I'm sure a bunch of other people think I suck for that. Maybe it's something I won't change, and that's fine, but then I would know what's going on. But maybe it's something I can improve. Make shorter, more coherent videos and get to the point faster, gamer. Oh, yeah, okay, I get that point, but this didn't start out that way, and this is how some of these things happen, is I don't start out this way, and I go on. Okay. So if you've made it this far, thanks for listening. I really would appreciate any sort of feedback. And even if it is just, don't do a Patreon or do a Patreon, that's fine. It can't, count. But it's really how to deal with people's expectations, particularly those that financially support you. That would be, tell me how you would feel. Maybe I should start this all over again. How would you feel if you supported somebody and say, hey, I want to support you. You do good videos. Here's some money. Will you play Spain someday? And I say, yeah, someday I'll play Spain. And I may mean it. I sort of do when I say it right now. Someday I'll play it. I'm sort of meaning it. Now I have no expectations maybe in the next 2 years to play it. And in 2 years from now, I'm not even sure I'm going to be playing Hearts of Iron 3, because maybe Hearts of Iron 4 has finally gotten that good and it's that great of a game, and, but, where people, we're going to play it someday, they may expect it in the next 2 or 3 weeks or 2 or 3 months, or, how do you deal with, and then, but how are you going to say is, hey, here's some money, and how about playing, not even a lot of money, just a little bit of money, and I'm going to support you for a month. How about playing Spain? And I say, no. And you go, okay, well, I'm not going to support you anymore. Fine. That's a perfectly legitimate thing to do, because you're wanting to pay to support something that you want to see. And I know I already sort of ended this, but I didn't. Perfectly legitimate that you want to support financially something that you want to see. And of course, there's always the thing is support my YouTube channel and I'll start making mods again. Because I can't say, I can't say GoFundMe or do a Patreon thing and I'll make mods for Hearts of Iron 4 or Hearts of Iron 3, because then I would get kicked off the forums, because I can't do that. But of course, you could support my YouTube channel. I could cut back the amounts of YouTube videos to like 1/4 of what I'm currently doing and make mods. But you're just supporting my YouTube channel. Don't know if that'd be worth it, but if people would get that. But and I'm not saying that right now because I don't know. But and I got people, well, you want to play Soviet Union? Going, yeah, someday. But like I'm saying, how do I make it interesting? I didn't watch the full thing. I watched a little bit of it of Benjamin Magnus. I know a bunch of you also know the channel, and because I see a few of you when I check over there once in a while, post there once in a while. So I know some of you watch that routinely. That's cool, great. You good guy, does good job. I watch it once in a while, just don't have time to watch much of it. He did the Magnus line or something, that was some sort of line along rivers and fortification defenses, left, leaving much of this empty. And he was playing, and I just didn't lose interest, but just got sidetracked and don't know how it ended. Okay, yeah, I could build some defensive line, and I could try to hold out, and I don't know, but I guess starting in 36, because that's where you start Black Ice, and even if I try to play it at a fast speed, it's still going to take time for me to arrange and build and do things, even if I shut up and not talk about how terrible the Soviets were every episode. How, I'm just imagining, whether playing fast and not talking, or talking a lot and playing slowly, viewership going down. And maybe a bunch of viewership's waiting and wanting to see me try to defend, in 41 against the German invasion. But I'm thinking I'm going to get to 38 and quit because there's 10 of you watching. And one of you make it to the end of the episode. And so, how do I make it interesting? And if there was like, hey, gamer, if you just played the Soviet Union, there'd be 10,000 views per episode. Well, great, I'll play it tomorrow. If somehow I thought that was going to be the case. But, because, yeah, I can rant and rave every episode about how terrible the Soviets are, and if that's people wanted to listen to me do that, that'd be fine. Or I could keep my mouth shut, or mostly, and try to play as fast as I can to get to the war, and then, micromanage the battles, because if you turn it over to the AI to command the thing and turn it on, the Soviet Union is going to lose, I presume. But me micromanaging it, I might, can I hold off the Germans long enough and then, push into Berlin, and people wait for that maybe. But, yeah, that's sort of the, how do I do this? How do I do this? Do I try to do this? Do I keep doing what I'm doing? Well, it's mildly successful, but that's at most mildly successful. And man, I'm so pleased that so many people are interested in this. So, like I say, it's sort of a successful. So I can keep doing what I'm doing, but don't know. So I think this is going to be the end of this episode. Sorry for a rambling episode. It will be more than marked for this thing. So yeah, your comments, even if this just sucked, are so welcomed. You don't know how important every single comment that you post is. I can't say more than you just don't know how important every single post is. So, it doesn't have to be, insightful. It could be, another episode, or hi, or whatever it is. Just any sort of comment is incredibly helpful. Now, of course, interesting ones are better, but yeah. So, thanks for watching. Love your input.